respond to South Grove and Mill Street to establish a perimeter.
And as soon as he made entry into the school, he started shooting.
We just hear all kinds of gunshots going off, like non-stop.
The scene was pretty horrific. You imagine the worst of the worst that could ever happen to a parent.
I had hoped when I became president I would not have to do this again. Another massacre. Uvalde, Texas.
We're a small community, and we'll need your prayers to get us through this.
Klepfer. A Texas community and Americans across the country are still reeling and processing the tragic school shooting in Texas yesterday. And because of that, we're breaking away from our usual format for this newscast here at 5:30 to hopefully help parents in mid-Michigan have some tough conversations. The massacre in Uvalde, Texas is the second deadliest school shooting in American history. We know that 19 students were gunned down, as well as 2 teachers. Just days before the summer break, the attack happened yesterday morning, shortly after 11:30 at Robb Elementary School. Police say an 18-year-old armed with an AR-15 style weapon stormed a classroom, barricaded himself inside, and shot the students and teachers that were there. We're told the suspect turned 18 on May 16th and days later bought 2 AR-15 style rifles. 6 people were still hospitalized tonight, including 3 children. Now, many parents are struggling to figure out the best ways to speak to their children about yesterday's school shooting and what to do if their kids are anxious about returning to the classroom. So joining us now is Dr. Claire Valentin. She's a human development and family studies professor at Michigan State University. Thank you so much for being with us this evening. Certainly appreciate that. Parents, you know, and I'm a parent, you're a parent, we don't want to scare our children. We don't want to do that. And talking about school shootings is a scary thing. It's upsetting. But it is important to have conversations like this. Explain why.
First, our kids already know about it. Even kindergartners heard about it today. Most children, they either saw it on TV this morning, or if they didn't, they heard about it from classmates at school. Mm-hmm. So you're not bringing any new information in that sense to your child, but they look to us for reassurance, mm-hmm. and to help them make sense of the world. And we need to be their first go-to people for that. Right. So being able to open the conversation shows them that you can talk about hard things, that it's okay for them to bring the things that they're scared about, mm-hmm. the things that make them sad or confused, and that you are their go-to person for that. Right. It's actually an opportunity to build trust with your child.
Yeah, you're their trusted person.
Yeah.
You're their person that they need to go to. When should we start talking to our children about things like school shootings? What age? And I know you mentioned that kindergartners are hearing about it.
Yeah. So even toddlers and preschoolers have active shooter drills at school these days, right? There's no escaping it, right? Mm-hmm. We don't get to hide this from our children anymore. Now, toddlers and preschoolers don't know what it is they're doing, but by kindergarten, where they are hearing more from older children or seeing things on the news, they're starting to hear about it. Right. So we need to be able to talk with them about it from that early age, at least from kindergarten, but do it in a developmentally appropriate way. So that is key. I have a kindergartner, and I plan on talking with her tonight about it and starting our conversation. Yeah. So, like I said before, we need to be able to have these hard conversations. It needs to be developmentally appropriate. We also need to be able to prepare ourselves for the conversation. Yeah. So today I got to talk with other parents, teachers, colleagues, who are processing it themselves, and we talked out kind of these questions, and it was a really good opportunity for me to process some of my feelings about it, so that doesn't come in an overwhelming way while I'm talking with my child tonight.
Right, because we need to keep our composure.
Yeah, we need to be honest about our feelings. Right. We don't want to hide it from them because we don't want them to think they have to hide their feelings. Like, this is an sad and upsetting thing, and I plan on saying I am sad, I am angry, and I'm scared sometimes about this. Right. But I don't want that to be overwhelming to her, and I certainly don't want to be looking to her for reassurance. So talking with other parents first, processing a little, and that so I can show both my feelings and my coping skills in that moment with her.
How do you start the conversation?
Whew, good question. Again, I've been thinking about that a lot today. Since she's young, I want to find out first just what she knows. So, you know, I think she probably heard things today at school, but I don't know what. And I want to be responsive to whatever she's heard. So I'm going to keep things simple. I'm going to explain things in simple terms, ask questions, listen and respond, and it'll be a conversation. I think I'll ask, did you hear something today about kids in another school getting hurt while they were at school? I want to say other schools so that she does not confused and think it's her school.
Right.
And also so that it doesn't feel so close to home. And then kind of go from there.
Okay.
I want to ask if she has questions about it.
Yeah.
If she asks how they got hurt, I don't know what I want to say to that.
Yeah. Still thinking about that one.
Still thinking about that one.
Okay.
I might tell her how they got hurt. But I am still thinking about that one.
Yeah. You know, for parents who maybe their kids say, I don't feel comfortable at school anymore, or maybe I don't want to go back, do you have advice for that?
Well, how many parents wanted to send their kids to school today, right? My social media this morning was flooded with posts from parents who said, it was so hard to send my kids, it was so hard to say goodbye this morning. And some of them were posting from the school parking lot because they couldn't bring themselves to leave. So this is a reality. This is a really hard thing. It's understandable to be scared and anxious. And I think acknowledging that is really important. We don't want to exacerbate their fear, but we want to acknowledge that this is upsetting and it is scary. It's also not fair that we're asking children and parents and teachers to do this scary thing. It's not fair that we are asking them to put themselves in that circumstance, and yet it's our reality. One thing to do is to help children find a sense of agency, even in a situation that's out of their control. So we can't control it, you and I can't control it, the teachers can't control it, and the children certainly can't. But asking them, you know, how do you feel at school? Is there a place that feels safe? Are there people that help you feel safe? And just finding ways to help them identify those things.
This is our last question because we are running out of time, but I want to continue this conversation, so hopefully we'll do that online for you. But, you know, for older children, they know this isn't the first school shooting that has happened in this country. What advice for conversations like, this keeps happening, Mom, Dad, why does this keep happening and what's being done? I mean, it's complicated. I don't even know how I would answer that.
Right. How do we explain to ourselves why this is still happening, right? I mean, there's all kinds of explanations. There's no simple answer. One thing that we talk about too often is isolating, oh, it was that school or that person or that family or community, and it's way too common for us to go back on that simple answer. It's not a mental illness issue as much as a societal illness issue. The way that we socialize our young boys to hide and not express their sadness and their loneliness. We are not giving them the opportunity to develop the coping skills that they need when we tell them that the only strong emotion is anger. Other societies don't have this same issue. We need to open up the space for both boys and girls to have conversations about hard feelings.
There's a lot more I want to ask you about. Let's continue this conversation on our website, WLNS.com. We're also going to put more resources for you and other things on there so you can, follow up here. Dr. Claire Valentin, thank you so much for being here. We certainly appreciate your time and your expertise.